questions, I'm right here for you right now live. If you are watching this after the live event, please also continue to comment because I see all of the comments on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So we're live on YouTube right now. We're live on LinkedIn every Wednesday and Thursday. That's Australian Eastern Standard Time in the morning. So for you guys watching from around the world, let me know where you're watching from. It's always really exciting to see you guys in the comments and see where you're watching from. We had people from all over the world 24 hours ago in our live stream, which was really exciting. People from Mongolia, Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, New York, here in Sydney, in the United Kingdom, in London, all over the place. Some people from over in Russia as well. So good to have everybody live online. So let me know where you are watching from. I see a couple of people there live on YouTube, and Luke is just sorting out my dashboard so I can see the comments on LinkedIn. So here we go. We'll just bring up that LinkedIn account there. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was a question. There's been some common questions coming up about nailing your next interview and the help that I could give you guys. So I do a lot of recruiting. I do for my own team, for people to come and join the team. There's a couple of different programs we run here. I've got lots of experience interviewing people, so I thought it'd be really helpful. It's not something that I necessarily coach people on, but it was a topic that people raised and said, hey, do you reckon you could make some comments about what I look for? Look, at the end of the day, the one thing that I don't think we take enough time to appreciate is the fact that we're talking about money. And I want you to think about yourselves as a buyer. I want you to think about your money that's in your bank account when you're thinking about buying something. I want you to think about, how nervous or, how much research you do or how conscious you are about getting what you want in exchange for your money. It's expensive. I'm not sure if I want to spend that. And I hear that a lot from people. So the one thing I want you to be considering, and the term for today, I want you to write down empathy. I want you to have some empathy for the person that's on the other side of the table. It's not just about getting really nervous and thinking about yourself. It's actually thinking about the other person and thinking, right, they've got money in their pocket. They've got what they're going to do, the role that they're creating, and they've got money in their pocket or money in their organization, or certainly a little bit of money. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be exchanging your services, exchanging your skills, your competencies, and your experience and your problem solving ability to do some tasks that are going to help that organization go forward. So we want to have that conversation. I don't think that conversation happens enough. Often people are too scared to have the sort of money conversation. And so what's happening is, from my perspective, I see it as an investment. And so initially what I'm doing when I'm thinking about recruiting something, and I'm going to get to the interview techniques in a minute. I want you to be thinking how I'm thinking, which is I'm deploying on a regular basis anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 per month as an experiment. And so that is an experiment, which is the startup time. I'm not expecting you to deliver anything for probably 4, 6, 8, even 12 weeks in terms of your starting point. So the objective is not to actually be coming in and like nailing it straight away. Although you want to nail things straight away, I want you to get a feel for the organization. I want you to sort of get into the organization. I want you to do your 1 week induction, start to meet people, start to work out how the organization works, and do your research and continue to do your due diligence. Because even after you get that role, we're still working out whether we fit together, whether this relationship's going to work. It's not like once you get hired and you start, that's it. We're still testing. I want you to be testing. I want you to be happy here. I want you to be happy in the organization. So I've got more experience with that. So I'm going to be assessing in your interview whether you're going to be happy working in the team. I'm going to be assessing whether you fit culturally with the existing team members. And so, I'm hearing lots about knockbacks, people getting knockbacks from roles. Don't necessarily assume that's yourself. Like, particularly somebody who's recruiting like me, it's not you, it's the team, and you're not going to necessarily fit with the team, and you're not going to be able to set yourself up for success. So I've got to be confident when I say, yes, here's your offer, here's your contract, that I am doing my best in my due diligence to set you up for success. And so when I knock you back, it's got nothing to do with your skills and experience. It's that I haven't got an environment available. I haven't got the right workshop. I haven't got the right tools. I haven't got the right systems in place or my systems are different, my tools are different to actually allow you to succeed. And so it's not, what more do I need? What more do I have to go get? It's about understanding that, different jigsaw puzzle pieces fit into different jigsaws, if that makes sense, and different jigsaw puzzles. Okay, so for those of you guys on LinkedIn, if you're watching there live on LinkedIn, let me know in the comments where you are watching from, and anyone there watching on YouTube, let me know where you're watching from. It's Thursday morning, it's quiet, so we're going to be taking some questions. We've got some interns here in the room with us this morning, and we've got Luke here as well helping in the studio, and we've got our guys online. So even you guys, I can see a few of our team members from Best Practice watching live online, so hit me with questions. This is for everybody. Hey, Shane. From Brisbane there on YouTube. Welcome this morning. I saw one of your comments about where to do a PXT assessment. Reach out to Kelly John Woods here at Best Practice, and he can talk you through doing a PXT assessment. I saw your comment on one of the previous live streams about doing the PXT assessments. Okay, let's talk about the interview process. So you're thinking about the person on the other side of the table. We're not talking today about CVs. I can answer questions about CVs and resumes. There's a blog article on our website, bestpractice.biz. It went up yesterday afternoon. So if you just go and scroll, there's probably 2 or 3 new articles sitting on top of it already, because we do 3 per day. But if you go and have a look at the blog article that went up yesterday on 30 minutes early is uncomfortable, being 15 minutes is probably about right, but 10 to 15 minutes where you actually walk in the door into reception and expect to be shown to a seat and sitting down in that particular seat. So a lot of people are like, should I be early? It's okay to be out the front an hour early, in traffic and managing risk. That's excellent. But it gets uncomfortable if you're turning up 30 minutes early. So, timing is important. So around about 10 minutes, to 10 to 15 minutes before the interview is due to start, arriving in the reception area of the organization saying, I'm here for a meeting that starts in 15 minutes. 10 or 15 minutes, and it's okay to be sort of loitering for outside the front door for 5 minutes before that. Yeah, I hope that helps you guys. So that's sort of one of the things in terms of nailing your next interview. To prepare, I think proper prior planning prevents poor performance. So we want to do a bit of prep, and so you do want to present yourself as you at the interview, but it's also what I mentioned about the cultural fit. There will be some organizations that have a look and feel. And so, I get around here at Best Practice most days in a t-shirt with bestpractice.biz on the front, because we do lots of videos, in jeans and boots. And so when someone turns up in a suit with a waistcoat and a bow tie, I'm going to be like, you're not going to fit in here, And so, they might have the skills, they might have the competencies, they might be able to nail the job. But unless they've got like an absolutely stunning character, it's no discrimination. It's just that you're going to get, people are going to be asking questions. And so it's really important to do a bit of research on the organization. What's the look, the feel, the style? How do they dress? Where are they from? And you can see all of that for most organizations on LinkedIn. So doing your research, getting on LinkedIn, searching the organization, finding the employees, and it's quite easy to search the company and who works at the company. So you can see people at current company. That's a filter on LinkedIn. You can jump on LinkedIn, you can do that, and you can do that filtration. And this is exactly the same if you're a salesperson, if you're somebody who's running an organization or in charge of sales and customer service in an organization, you do this same process to do your due diligence. So, what do they wear? What do they look like? Can you stalk key people like key managers, key influencers in the business on other platforms? So for me, you would go and look at my Instagram, you would look at my Facebook, you would look at my YouTube, you would look at as many videos as you possibly can. And the one mistake, the first monumental mistake that I see people make when coming in for interviews with us here at Best Practice is failing to do their due diligence. Maybe we advertised on Seek and we walk in the door and we are enormous on terms of social media, and they come in completely unaware of that. That is the first strike. And so when you go to an interview, there's never one thing. You don't miss out. If you're somebody who's getting knockbacks, it's not that you're missing out on one thing. You're potentially missing out because of 10 things, and it's a cumulative impact. So the first thing, which I've talked to a lot of people about previously, is obviously that empathy towards the person, what they're trying to achieve. Setting up the interview, it's about taking control of the interview. It's not about talking too much, but it's about asking good questions and dividing your interview into 3 parts. They've got a set of questions. They're going to be asking you a set of questions. If they're lazy and they haven't done a lot of prep for the interview, so never assume that they are super prepared. I'm never super prepared for an interview. I will, if I'm interviewing for a salesperson, if I'm not organized, and one of the businesses in our family group works this way, is that the team over there will just do a Google search, questions for a sales interview on Google. And so what you can be doing is you can do that same Google search, pretend you're the person doing the interviews, and do some Googling around the types of interview questions. If you were the manager interviewing you, what would be the kind of questions that you would be asking? And that's what we all do, right? We get to work, we're given a task to do, we get on Google and we try and figure it out. And that is what is happening for most of the people. So don't assume that the person sitting on the other side of the table knows what they're doing, or the panel knows what they're doing. And often being quiet and reserved and sitting like this in an interview is because they're there to listen. You're there to present, they're there to listen. They're going to maybe ask some questions to extract the information out, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to link you with the problem or the solution. You know, are you the solution for their problem? Are you going to fix their problem? Are you going to solve their problem? Are you going to be able to sit in that seat and achieve the outcomes and the performance requirements of that role? Because they're going to put money at it. You know, if we're talking about a $50,000 or $100,000 role, they're going to be taking $1,000 and they're putting the $1,000 on that seat. And you're taking the $1,000 home, and you're doing that in exchange for some performance outcomes. Or if it's a $100,000 role, it's $2,000 a week. You know, it's 50 weeks in the year, it's $2,000 a week. So you've got to have that mindset that this organization is investing in that role. They're prepared to invest a little bit of money to let you catch up and get going. And then after that, they're looking for outcomes. So in terms of setting up the interview, I've talked about this before. You're setting it up into 3 parts. The first part of the interview, particularly if it's your first interview, is massive information gathering. And so if they're asking questions, you can answer the questions really politely and really professionally, but then counter it with another question, because you're doing your due diligence as well. That's your first time potentially inside the organization. And if they ask you a question and you could respond to that question, you say, you know, tell me about yourself. You say, look, there is so much I can tell you about me, but in order to ensure that I tell you about the right things that help you to understand if I'm the right solution to the challenge or if I'm the right person for the role, I need to ask some questions about the organization. I need to ask you, what is the specific challenge you're trying to solve? What are the specific key result areas of this role? What are the specific things that when you invest money in this role that you want to get out of it? Because then that's going to give you the answers to deliver back to them. So you're serving them back to them. Right. So I understand that you're concerned that you want this outcome. I understand that this is an issue for the business. I understand that this is a role. And in the past, I have done this, this, and this to solve that problem. Am I making sense to everybody? I hope so. Okay, so let me know where you're watching from. Very quiet this morning again on a Thursday morning for us here at Best Practice. But we have got a few people watching live there on LinkedIn. So let me know where you're watching from. If you are watching on LinkedIn, that can't be all Best Practice people. So if you are watching and listening on LinkedIn, hit that like button. You don't need to necessarily say your name, but just hit the like button so I can see I've got your attention. And for you guys watching there on YouTube, we've got half a dozen people on YouTube. Let me know. Hey, Jenny, welcome. Welcome from Melbourne. So thank you very much, Jenny. So yeah, you guys that have just come on, let me know where you're watching from so I can help you guys. So question for everybody. Has this been helpful so far? Yes or no? What more would you like me to cover? So I've covered the first part of the interview. We divide the interview into 3 parts. So what we can basically be saying is that the first part is massive information gathering. The second part is presenting yourself and presenting your features, features about your career, about your experience, about how you approach things, about results that you've achieved that match the role, so that you can address those challenges that were raised at the beginning. And the third part of the interview, the back end of the interview, is objections, which is questions like, so far from what you've heard about me, do you think I would be able to succeed in this role? So far, and why? And if so, why? So far, what you've heard about me, have you heard anything that is a concern for you? And so we often leave interviews not knowing the results, not knowing the concerns. And so you can take control of the conversation and have that very open thing and say, so far in what you've heard, have I raised any concerns for you? Now, they might be quiet, but they are humans, and humans like reciprocity. And more often than not, if they're a professional outfit, they'll answer that question. You know, we're a little bit concerned that maybe you're lacking in time on the job, or maybe you're lacking in experience, or maybe you're lacking in exposure. And then you can address what we call in sales and selling objections. So what we often don't do, because most people going for interviews are not trained in sales, I'm a trained salesperson, is to go in and actually extract the objections. You want to get those objections out of that interview panel or out of those interview people before you leave, because after that, you've got no option. If they've got an objection, it'll just be a no, because there's another candidate that's coming in behind you, potentially, if they're interviewing multiple candidates, and they're just looking for the best fit for the job. And so they're not giving you an opportunity to address the objections. You don't want to get worried about it. You want to expect objections. You're too old. You're too inexperienced. You're too experienced. You're too female. You're too male. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're all those crazy things that are discriminatory. Or your English speaking skills are not amazing, or your written skills are not amazing. So you want to take that opportunity to try and extract those objections. It's never going to be discriminatory, but it is something that we don't often do an interview. When you're going for interviews, you're like, oh, I don't have any questions. It's like, absolutely, you've got questions. You've got questions. Have you got any objections? Are there any reasons why I wouldn't get the job? That I can address, so that we can cover that and discuss that now. So the types of questions you can ask when you don't have a question is, what are the concerns? What would be the kinds of things that might set me up for failure? What are the things that I need to learn? What does my development plan look like for the first 6 months? What's the culture like in this organization? A genuine interest. What is the internal networking look like? What does success look like? What's the career progression? What are the 10 things you like about me so far? Like, if you want to really talk them into hiring you, then having them identify the things they like about you so far. And you could have 3 questions at the end of the interview, which says, in thinking about what we've spoken about so far, what are the 2 things that are really highlighted for you that are good about my experience? What are 2 things that are good about my CV? What are the 2 things that are good about what I've spoken about? Because you also need to acknowledge that you've made it through from the initial cut and you've been invited in for an interview. So they've checked your CV, they've checked your details, they've checked your data, and they've brought you in to the organization to talk to you. And that is something that they've given you that opportunity. So they like something. So you want to know, so far, in terms of you doing your due diligence on me, what do you like about me? If that makes sense. So there's 3 parts to that interview process to nail that interview. It's the massive information gathering. And if you can take control or get some sort of control of the questioning, you want to find out more about the problem they're trying to solve, find out more about the position, find out more about the real key result areas that they're looking to pay money to get covered, then present more of your skills that map against those key result areas. So it's not generically talking about yourself. It's saying, I know that you need this done, and I've done that before. This is the result that I achieved, or I've had exposure to that. So what I haven't talked about is I haven't talked about junior people like you guys here in the studio with me this morning who haven't got a lot of experience. We are hiring for the will, not the skill. We're looking, we can train the skills. We can train you guys. We're looking for motivation. We're looking for interest. We're looking for curiosity. We're looking for those raw skills, like this guy here, a musician. And he's interested in sound, and he's interested in that sort of stuff. And that's why he comes in and starts doing podcasts. Then the creativity part transfers over to videos. Now he's sitting here running the studio 9 months later. So that's where it was the will and the motivation and the curiosity and the interest. I'm not going to take somebody who is interested in cooking and put them here in the studio at best practice, because they're like, my heart's over there in the kitchen, if that makes sense. So that's what we're looking for with you guys, graduates saying, hey, how do I get a job? So you can take all of this advice, massive information gathering. The first thing you can do, people love to feel heard. That's the most important thing. You guys like to feel heard. You guys like to feel heard. If you've got concerns, or am I doing a great job? The interviewer likes that too. So when you're sitting there in the interview wants to feel heard. That they're looking for someone who understands the problem that the organization's got, has the thought process to go through and solve those problems, and either some experience or the drive and determination to solve those things efficiently and quickly for the organization. So in the interview process, the more that you can say, I understand that you're challenged with this. I understand that the role has to achieve this. That's what they're gauging. They're gauging, and they're not just looking at skills and experience. And you talk about solutions. If you can start your interview responses, as many as you can, with, I understand you're concerned about X. I understand the business needs to achieve X. I understand the team is driving to achieve this goal. What are the goals of the team? What are the objectives of the team? So it's massive information gathering. Present. And when you're presenting, you're saying, I understand. Starting your responses with, I understand. So let me just confirm I've got this correct. Those kind of statements. Now, the good thing about this webinar, I know a bunch of you want to madly write notes. You can come back and you can look at this because we're leaving the recording on our YouTube channel. It will sit on my LinkedIn page. It's a bit harder to find older videos on the LinkedIn page because we do so much, but you can hop across to Best Practice TV on YouTube and you can see this pre-recording. So just remember the date and the time and you can jump straight across. And also Luke is waving the microphone and saying, we've got the Kobe Summit Audio Experience podcast. So for those of you who like podcasts, please go and check out the Kobe Summit Audio Experience. It's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, we stream it via Whooshkaa, so it's on all of your favorite podcast platforms. If it's not on your favorite platform, let us know and we'll make sure we get it there. We're getting a lot of traction on our podcast right now. So a lot of these audio from a lot of our videos and a lot of these live streams we put straight up on our podcast so you guys get to hear it. If you are listening to the podcast and you're hearing this audio through the Best Practice podcast or the Kobe Summit Audio Experience right there on Spotify or on Apple, please reach out to me with a direct message on LinkedIn. That's the best way to get me. Send me that message and you can hit me with your questions and I'll come back to you and answer them for you. This morning, I sat watching the sunrise over the ocean, responding to direct messages on LinkedIn for about 25 minutes. So I try to get back to everybody, make sure it's a good question. There's no dumb question, but don't pitch me on stuff. So I get lots of people trying to sell me stuff. I'm here to help you, not help you sell more, help you do what you need to do to grow your career. Okay, look at all those questions on LinkedIn. They've just gone, shoo, there they all are. Good morning, Stan. Hey, Naomi in New Jersey. How are you guys going in New Jersey? Coming into the fall, so it must be starting to get a little bit cooler over there. Great place, great part of the world. Hey, Lindy in Perth. Excellent. Okay, this is all helping. Excellent. Someone in India there. Okay, what questions to ask the interviewer in a manager interview? Okay, if you're being interviewed to be a manager, depending on whether you're going to have direct reports or manage a particular issue, it is the same. It's about the more that you can do some due diligence on the performance matrix, the things that the issues or the scope of your management, your jurisdiction, if you like, those are the kinds of questions. So you can try to extract that. And the coaching that you'll be doing later on in your role is going to start to happen in that interview. And the more that you can demonstrate that skill, not by telling stories, but the more that you can demonstrate that in the interview and collect that information, you can be starting to ask those really important questions about, hey, what are you thinking about? What are the biggest challenges? What are the ways you're thinking about solving those challenges? What's on your mind? What are the top priorities once this role gets going? If I'm the successful incumbent in this role, what are the top priorities for you? What are the things you really want to nail? There will always be projects in an organization that are on the back burner. They're really important and people want to do them, but resources are stopping the organization from achieving that. When you start as a new candidate, it's often an opportunity to nail some of those things and pick some low-hanging fruit. So a good question to ask if you're going, and this is for you, Naomi, a good question that you could be asking is, in the first couple of weeks of my role, I'm going to be learning about the organization. I'd like to get started on a project. What would be a couple of low-hanging fruit projects I could get started on that are a priority for you, that while there's a little bit of, massaging of me and my time, I'm going to get started and come up to speed. Is there a project that I could start and nail? Can we talk about that for 5 minutes here in the interview so I can get a good understanding as to how I would approach that and nail that for you really quickly? That's the kind of stuff that I want to be hearing as a manager. I want somebody to be saying, look, I acknowledge that the first couple of weeks, it's all a bit, your brain gets scrambled when you're hearing lots of stuff and you're learning lots of stuff and you're meeting new people. But if you can walk straight in the door and start a project, that is important, but not a priority, and you can be working on that, then somebody's going to be saying, we need that person because I feel heard. They asked me if there was something. They sort of intuitively knew that there's projects on the back burner. They're always there. They're always there. And it's something that you can nail and you can be really helpful. And it's those acts of service, particularly as a manager, those acts of service for those managers above you, that's going to help you, be a really useful resource in the organization. So, this is really, your objective in the interview is to move yourself from a scale of 0 to 10 on useless to useful. And that is not being derogatory at all. It's saying, you know, if it's a no, they can't see that, you know, we could utilize the resource. And so we want to be like really useful and able to be utilized. So the real truth in the word, you know, in the verb of use and the use case. Okay, can you scroll down a little bit for me? Yeah, keep hitting that like button. Thank you very much on this. If you can scroll down. Luke's driving the dashboard upside down. Yeah, so right's left and left's right. There you go. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We're almost there. Down a bit. Down, down, down. Down, 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 down. Okay, scroll now. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Okay, so Terry Hughes, thank you for joining us. Let me, you guys that are all watching there on LinkedIn, let me know where you're watching from, and you guys that are live on YouTube, let me know where you're watching from. Okay, we're almost out of time. I said I would only do 30 minutes. I've got to catch up with somebody in 3 minutes time. Now's the time for questions. So if you have got any questions, let me know in the comments, please. I'd be really grateful. Has this been helpful? Has this been thought-provoking? So let me know in the comments. One thing I'd like everybody to do after they've finished watching this video or finished this live stream is sit down and write some notes, because I know some of this stuff is thought-provoking. Remember, just as a quick summary, we're thinking about empathy. We're empathizing with the person on the other side of the table. We're acknowledging that that person's going to be investing money. Think about what your annual salary is for that particular role or estimated to be, and then divide that by weeks and think about what you're exchanging in terms of value for the organization for the money that you're going to be taking home. Because that's the goal, right? Get this job so you can get some money and you can take the money home. And you want to be making sure that you're putting in a ton of value back into the organization that is more than what you're taking home. Okay, so no comments, no questions. Okay, a couple of things. If you haven't subscribed to the Best Practice TV YouTube channel, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You'll get the notifications for when we are live. If there's a particular topic that you want us to be talking about, please let us know. You can reach out to me with a direct message. You can comment below this video. I see all of the comments in the YouTube inbox, which is excellent. I scroll through those comments. I try and look at all of the comments once a week on the YouTube channel. So if you are seeing this after the live stream, and you've got a comment or if you've got a question, please go right ahead and make those comments. For you guys that are watching on YouTube right now and you're still with us, I can see everybody there on the dashboard. Well, I can see that there are people on the dashboard. Hit that like button for me right now so the algorithm recognizes that it was good content and you're with us all the way to the end. That will be fantastic. That'll really help our cause here at Best Practice to get more exposure. And for those of you guys watching on LinkedIn, right down the bottom of the page there is a blue like, a red clapping. I think there's a love and there's a light bulb. Yes, all of those things. So Luke is going right ahead and hitting that right now from the studio. Okay, so you guys watching live on LinkedIn, I hope this was helpful for everybody. I'm going to jump into the next meeting and I will see you in a week's time right here on Best Practice TV. So we're live streaming twice a week. We're going to start to change the schedule. But 6 days from now, same time, same place, right here on Best Practice TV. Bye for now.